Hello, I wanted to show you today how to use the text sticky to actually show work, do math calculations, or if you're given directions and you need actual math templates and symbols like the square root or logarithms, you can use the text sticky and it will come out as math type, which is really nice. So let's just get a text sticky. So this is our screen. I'm just going to pull up a text sticky. And whenever you have a text sticky, there are basically a couple things you can do. Down here at the bottom are your options. So you can change the size of the text. 7 would be enormous, but I tend to like to work in 3. And so this is where you would type. So if you're working with students, this is where you might put some directions and then they go do off the work, or it might be they do their answers and they pull up a text sticky to write their observations. So you just type as you would expect, and it follows the shortcuts of, say, in word processing. So if you wanted something to be bold, you would highlight what you want and do the Control B for bold. So now notice that it's bold. If I wanted underline, same thing, Control underline. So the text will behave as you would, kind of a normal word processing. But if you want to do math, so a lot of times teachers have a hard time, say they're doing a word processing or, Word, Google, and they can't put in math symbols, or it's more difficult to put in math symbols. It's very easy in Classpad to do that because you just click this icon here and this creates a math type line basically, and now you'll see that the template, the math soft keyboard, popped up, and you can basically put in any of the math templates. You could put in a matrix or something. Let's just do a matrix. So you'll see it lets me very quickly and easily do math work that looks the way I expect it to look, and not kind of funky linear, division. If you're going to do 2/3, it doesn't look like 2- thing. So all I had to do was click this and it creates a math type line. So the difference being, let's say I wanted to do 2/3 x plus 5 equals 7. Well, this is a little confusing. Is it 2/3 the quantity times x, or is it 2 over the quantity 3x? And so math type then allows you to have actually what you mean. So I really meant, so notice because of this I can use my standard notation of rational numbers, and then this is what I meant. And so this allows you to actually do and show the math the way you want it to look for students. Standard notation. We want, if it's going to be a rational number, we want it to be a rational number. So I can pretty much use any of these mathematical templates in the math type very quickly, very easily. And so as a math teacher, you can give specific directions in a standard notation as you'd expect, and students can also show their work. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say I wanted them to solve this problem. So they could pull up a text sticky, let's change the color, and actually show each step correctly by using the math type. So I'm going to create that equation again, and then I'm going to show my work, what I did, using my specific math equation. So if I want them to solve this, say, for x, so then they're going to add 5 and then add a -5, right? And show that 7 plus a -5. And I could even have them write down the reason that I did that step was because of the additive inverse makes 0, and also balancing, making sure I do things to both sides. And then I do the next step, right? So what's the next step? Well, I know that this makes a 0 pair. I could associate them together and make a 0. So now I end up with 2/3 x plus 0. And then on the other side, I'm going to actually solve that, and I have a +2. And so this is additive identity. There's a lot of things you can do because you have this nice math type. And so now let's say they want to isolate the x. We want to use our inverse, multiplicative inverse. So again, another math type. So anytime I want to use math type, you just click that icon at the bottom of the text, this one right here, and it brings up a text line. Whoops. let's make sure we have it in the right place. Brings up a text line, and I can now do my work. So I want to multiply by the reciprocal. So notice it's in nice standard notation, as I would expect. And I can actually see what's happening here. So 2 over 1, because that's any number can be made into a rational number by putting it in over 1. And then I want to balance by doing the same thing to both sides. Whoops, that was 3 over 2. But I'm in nice standard notation, and so you can really see that students are understanding this idea of, multiplicative inverse. This makes a 1, so now my next line would be 1 times x is equal to, I could simplify it beforehand, or I could just do 6 over 2. So let's just do that. And then our final result is x has a value of 3. So because of math type, this ability to quickly put in mathematical symbols, correct notation, all of those things, students can actually show their work and show it very nicely because they're able to use the math type. So quick explanation of how to use math type. It's just this little icon here, create a math type line, and then you have all the templates available to you to use real math.